My name's Christine Lurk, and I'm a member of the Daughters of the American Revolution in the Gettysburg chapter here in the Adams County area and surroundings. And with me are two people vital to the building that we're standing in, which is the National Apple Museum in Biglerville, Pennsylvania. I was introduced to this fantastic and historical place last year when our chapter toured the museum and then followed up with a service project here, which we'll talk about that as we go along. But let me introduce the people to my left. Cindy and Bob, I'm going to let you take it from here.
I am Cindy Heller. I am the treasurer of the Historical Society. Biglerville Historical and Preservation Society is who owns the property and is the curators for and the sponsors for the National Apple Museum. And then this is one of my second homes. I grew up on a fruit farm. I am a fifth generation farmer for Adams County.
And I'm Bob Wenger. I'm the president of the Historical Society and also a curator of the National Apple Museum, the janitor, tour guide. I wear a lot of hats. I've mowed the lawn here in the past, so I've seen it all. We started to try to reopen the museum, I believe it was in 2017, after about a decade of it being closed. And our first full year of being open was last year, 2019. This would have been the second year, but we're a little delayed due to the pandemic. This barn was built in 1857, so it was here at the time of the Civil War, and we do have a plaque to mention that outside. So the barn itself is a part of the history of Biglerville. The display cases surrounding us here contain artifacts of all types. Tools that were used in the homes were used in the orchards. We have deeds, documents, patents from the earlier times.
I just love the entryway as you come in. It's automatic atmosphere from the timber beams to the wonderful things here.
I have to say, after the decade of this being closed, when we first opened the doors, everything was cobwebs and dust. And I have to thank the DAR because they turned it back into a museum with a lot of help from their members.
Well, the DAR was happy to help here. As we come in and we're seeing these wonderful displays, we were privileged to be able to help make them shiny and new on the day of our tour when we broke into three groups and one of the groups polished all of this and made it just sparkle. And this is following DAR's mission, which is number 1, historic preservation, number 2, education, and number 3, patriotism.
I want to be sure to thank the DAR for so many things that they helped to organize. One of the things was the library, and then they didn't stop at the library. Every week, starting in April, I had taken a fall, and so they were such a godsend. These ladies that came in that Thursday were here to what you might call deep clean. And we started in the upstairs one corner and proceeded to the other side, which is about 4,000 square feet. And they did that. Then we came to the downstairs, and we have a large area there, just about the same footage, to clean. And that all windows, it doesn't really matter from ceiling, rafters to floor. We've just had all kinds of great help from them in lots of other projects where we had signage that needed redone and pictures were taken. Another lady redid them for us, and then we were able to laminate them. They're back, some of them in operation. So it's been a tremendous blessing. I call it my godsend.
We have several quilts in our collection that are very much interest. The first one here is a bicentennial quilt that was done by the ladies of the Biglerville Quilting Society. It represents some of the buildings that were historical to the town. Of note is the center quilt section here. This was done by Mamie Eisenhower. Mamie and Ike were very interested in Biglerville. They came here quite often. They loved the Thomas Brothers store, among other things. But this is a square that Mamie did herself for this quilt.
Welcome to our gift shop. We have a lot of handmade, locally handmade products that we have in here. We have everything from for the kids through mom and pop, to the teenagers. So we have a little bit of everything here. Birdhouses, pictures for in there. We have paperweights, approximately 1,500 items. We have honey that is locally made. Each of these things are made specifically for the Apple Museum here, so you can't go buy it anywhere else. So that means you need to come by and see what we have.
In addition to the museum, we have two areas that we rental. We have the on-deck hall, which is a large meeting room. It's good for parties or meetings of about 50 people or less. We also have an outdoor pavilion, and that, in fact, the DAR rented earlier this year.
We have 4 sections to the top part of the barn here. The first is the lands and the farmer, the original deeds and how things were started, how the land was cleared. Then we have the processing part, and here we have 2 of the main processors are the Mouse Foods and the Mott's. We also have how in the factories the fruit was processed. Then we have a section where it could be packaged. The part that is over here, it represented Rice Fruit Company. Then after that we have the country kitchen, the 1890s kitchen, and right beside it is the country store. Everyone went to the country store. So we have all kinds of unique, very special things in those 4 parts. The country store, we do not allow people to go in there, but all the other ones, there's things that you can pick up and look at and ask questions about. In the early 1960s, there was a strike, and I got to be lucky enough to come and run one of these machines for approximately 2 weeks. This machine cores and peels the apples. About every second plus, there is an apple that needs to be placed on each one of these, and it will take about a second or less for it to core and peel it, and then it goes down and over there to another tray to be able to be finished in anything that wasn't taken off. So, for instance, we're here, the apples are coming down, and I'm going 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. About that speed all the time. You don't want to get your finger in there. You don't want to get your finger even close to where this razor blade is that takes and just swirls it around. Whatever is there, it will core and peel. So you want to be very careful. The ladies that used this were tremendously courageous as far as I'm concerned out of it, because this done 8 hours or 10 hours a day is extremely monotonous. No sleeping on the job. If you don't get it up there on time, the next apple gets missed because you're out of sync. Got to do it in order.
Okay, behind me is a 43-foot ladder. This was used to pick apple trees in the days when typical trees grew 30 to 50 feet tall. The nickname for this ladder is the Widowmaker, for obvious reasons.
That's the longest one I've ever seen. I wouldn't want to be at the top.
And I wouldn't climb it. This 3-legged ladder is typical of what was used prior to the time when dwarf trees are not, which is what is the standard now. But it's 3 legs because with a 3-legged ladder, no matter how uneven the ground is, the ladder will always be stationary and firm. If you have a 4-legged ladder, it can tip. This is our library, and it contains a lot of general books about agriculture, about orchards, mostly books that are way out of date now. That's why they were donated to us, but they're a very great interest to historians. We also have quite a collection of genealogy materials, including, this is a church register from the Bender's Church that dates from 1786 to 1993, lists all of the parishioners who attended that church.
That's invaluable.
And we have many books like that. We have books here that are lists of cemetery places, that some of which don't exist anymore.
And Bob was kind enough, when he found out I liked fruit crate labels, he was kind enough to pull out binder after binder of all of these fruit crate labels. But that's just the beginning of the story of what's in the library.
This is known as the apple capital of the world and of the United States. So what better place than to have a National Apple Museum? And we are the only one in the world that is the National Apple Museum. There have been thousands of volunteers that have come and helped and developed, and it has grown into the place that we have today, servicing the community thanks to lots and lots of volunteers and lots of donations.
Thank you for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to be with you, Cindy and Bob, and to share the Apple Museum with our viewers. The DAR is happy to be a part of your experience here and to promote the National Museum. To follow us on the website is for the museum.
For nationalapplemuseum.com. We also have a Facebook page. That's the Biglerville Historical and Preservation Society.
Linked in the description are the websites to the Gettysburg DAR, the National Apple Museum, and the Facebook page for the National Museum. Join us there.